3 years of marriage and my husband, who never touched a drop of alcohol, got totally wasted the moment I said divorce. When I went to the hospital to get the papers, he looked at me with a smile and asked, "Do you really hate me that much? Hate me enough to watch me die right in front of you?" And my answer? Just 2 cold words. Yeah, I do. Let's just end this peacefully, shall we? The next morning, he slapped the divorce papers right in my face, and I got all the company shares just like I wanted. But the second those shares were mine, my so-called family kicked me to the curb. They'd squeezed every last drop of use out of me. Then they staged a nasty car accident for me. And in my final moments, I finally realized who truly loved me in this world. It was my ex-husband, the man I'd just divorced. After he found out the truth, he used his family's power to wipe out the Shen family entirely. He even ended his own life right in front of my gravestone. Now I've been given a second life, and I swear I won't let any of that happen again. Divorce? Not a chance. And today is the very last day before he leaves Jiangcheng for good. It's the day he's supposed to hand over his entire company to the Shen family. That thought hit me like a truck. I bolted out the door. Please wait for me. Half an hour later, I rushed to Jiangcheng First Hospital, my heart pounding, praying like crazy. Don't sign that contract! I had no idea what state he was in, but I vaguely remembered he signed the transfer papers at the hospital. But as soon as I burst in, looking for his room, his assistant Han Li stormed up to me, fuming. "Su Li, what are you doing here?" Before I could even ask where Gu Ling was, a woman's voice cut through from Han's phone. He paused, took a breath. Then he blocked my way and said into the phone, "Dr. Situ, Mr. Gu waited a whole day before coming in. The director says it's too severe. He's got no answers. Please hurry over. I'll meet you at the entrance." After hanging up, Han lifted his head, shooting me a look so cold it could freeze hell. His face was pure disgust and rage. Meeting those furious eyes, a chill ran down my spine. Something was very, very wrong. "Han, how bad is Gu Ling? Are the Shens here yet? He can't sign that transfer. Take me to him now." "Enough. Su Li, drop the act. You know exactly what you did, don't you?" Han was barely holding back his fury as he pointed to the hospital entrance and spat out each word like venom. My face went pale. Last night, the Shens set up a fake cheating scene and called Gu Ling, who was in the capital for business, saying I'd been beaten up. He ditched his partners without a second thought and drove all the way back to Jiangcheng. But he was going too fast, got into a crash on the way. I vaguely remember that accident was pretty bad in my past life, left him with lasting damage. So last night, when he caught me in that fake affair and demanded an explanation on the stairs, I let Shen Bijun's whispers get to me, and I shoved him, hard. That push sent him tumbling down the stairs on top of the injuries from the crash. He collapsed and couldn't get up. But I thought he was faking it. I coldly watched him tremble in pain until he passed out. His last question before he blacked out, "Do you really hate me that much, enough to watch me die?" And I answered, "Yes." Next morning, he threw the divorce papers at my face. I can't bear to think how much that must have hurt him. "I'm sorry. Let me see him now. Trust me, I'll never mention divorce again, ever." I clutched those papers, drowning in regret. But as I turned to find him, Han blocked me again. His voice was colder than ice. "Su Li, are you determined to kill him? Do you have any idea how bad his injuries were? But he didn't go to the hospital first. He came looking for you, worried sick about you. And what were you doing? Messing around with some lowlife. Just leave him alone, please." Every word stabbed my heart like 1,000 needles. I've never felt such guilt. How could he be so stupidly devoted? He'd rather bleed out than not check on me. My fingers turned white as I spun around. Looking at Han, whose eyes were glistening, I said firmly, "Han, I swear on my own life from now on. I will never let him get hurt again." Then I strode off, disappearing into the hallway. Han just stood there, stunned. She said what? Swear on her life? Won't hurt him again? Is that really the spineless Su Li we all knew? Meanwhile, in VIP room 9, the Shen family's housekeeper was putting on a fake apology show for Gu Ling. "Mr. Gu, on behalf of the Shens, I sincerely apologize. We never imagined Miss Su would take advantage of your affection and do something so disgraceful." But Gu Ling cut her off coldly. "Are you done rambling? What he does is none of your business." The housekeeper's face twitched. She cursed under her breath. "That trash Su Li, she's worthless and he still defends her. Just to get the Shens to treat her better, he's giving away his whole company. What an idiot." But she quickly masked her disdain. Bowing low, she handed over a contract. "Mr. Gu, here's the transfer agreement. Just sign right here." The man on the bed looked pale and fragile, but his gaze was sharp enough to make the housekeeper struggle to breathe. Still blinded by greed, she pushed on. "Oh, and I recall you own 20% of Speed Logistics plus the Liwa Bank shares. And that 100 million fund you bought for Miss Su is about to mature. Since you're leaving Jiangcheng, my young lady hopes you'll transfer all that to the Shens, too. Here's the paperwork, just sign." Gu Ling's eyes reflected her greedy, overreaching face. His hand trembled as he held the pen. He'd lost count of how much the Shens had milked from him, because any time they mentioned Su Li, he gave in without question. "If that's really what Su Li wants, and then I'll sign." Just as his pen touched the paper, the door burst open with a bang. I saw those contracts in his hand and nearly choked on my anger. I swallowed my hatred for the Shens. and looked at him, my whole body shaking with guilt. Guling, how bad is it? My husband got into a crash and I actually believed that snake Shen Bijun, thinking he was just playing the victim for sympathy. How could I be so cruel? All the assets you want. I've had lawyers transfer them to you. We can finalize after the divorce. And the company? It's yours to give to the Shens. You don't have to force yourself to come here and check on me. He wouldn't even look up, afraid that if he did, he'd soften and not let me go. His hand shook as he pretended to sign, but I snatched the documents away and tore them to shreds right in front of the housekeeper's smug face. The housekeeper froze for 3 seconds. Miss Su, are you insane? That's the company transfer. Mr. Gu already promised it to the Shens. She kept her voice down because Gu Ling was there, but her eyes said she wanted to kill me. I held back my rage, turned, and fixed her with a stare so deep it made her hair stand on end. Before she could process my change in attitude, I laughed coldly. When did he ever promise to give the Shens his company? What he promised was always mine. Now take your people and get out. She gaped at me, her teeth chattering with rage. She couldn't believe that a lowly adopted daughter would dare speak to her like that. She must be out of her mind. But no matter how furious she was, Gu Ling's presence kept her in check. She forced a calm tone. Miss Su, don't joke around. The Shens raised you for over 20 years. What's yours is theirs. Just let Mr. Gu sign. You don't want to disappoint the family, do you? Every time she pulled the family card, I'd cave. She expected the same this time, but not anymore. I said, get out, and I'm not repeating myself. My voice was dripping with hate, echoing through the room. Her face twisted. She glanced at the torn paper on the floor, then glared at me for a long moment. She muttered, I'll come back another day, and left with her people. And then it was just Gu Ling and me. Gu Ling, I'm so sorry about last night. I didn't know you were hurt in that crash. I swear I'll never hurt you again. Please forgive me. Don't divorce me. Don't leave me. I'll do anything. He looked at me, a bit dazed. Then a bitter smile crept across his face. In that moment, he looked at me like I was a complete stranger. The company isn't enough? Just tell me what else you want. This was the first time he'd ever been this cold to me. Every word was like a thorn, piercing so deep I couldn't even speak. I held on to the divorce papers, my heart aching, but I locked eyes with that gorgeous face of his. I didn't stop you from signing to get more. I'm telling you, from now on, I won't fight for the Shens anymore. I don't want anything but you. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just give me a chance to make up for my mistakes. Don't divorce me, please. In the past, if I'd said something like that, he would have rushed to me without hesitation. But this time, there was no joy in his eyes, only sorrow. Because every single time I said nice things, it was because I wanted something. He'd believed me over and over, and each time it ended with a fresh wound. You didn't do anything wrong. I was the fool who fell for you. He closed his eyes, unwilling to even look at me, just pure disappointment. But he pulled himself together quickly and said calmly, Enough. Since you have the papers, sign them and give them to Ah Wei. Anything else you want, talk to him. Whatever I have, it's yours. I'm tired, just go after you sign. He nodded at his bodyguard, who handed me a pen. I looked at Gu Ling's pale face. I wanted so badly to tell him the truth, that I'd been reborn, that I knew how wrong I was in my past life, that I'd protect him for the rest of my days. But who would believe something so crazy? He'd probably think I was just messing with him, making up lies. It would only hurt him more. Su Li, you've got some nerve showing up here. Just as I was racking my brain for a way to explain, a furious voice cut through. Han Li stormed in with a female doctor and nurses. Relieved that Gu Ling was stable, he turned to glare at me. Are you here to make sure he's still breathing, or to finish the job? Trying to force him into divorce again? Don't make me go all out on you. I tuned out the rest because my eyes were locked on the female doctor, the so-called top orthopedist in the city. But I knew from my past life that this woman, Situ Jing, was a total fraud. Her reputation was built on connections, not skill. If not for that old man of high status she accidentally killed a year later, I'd never have seen that medical scandal blow up online. In that life, she said Gu Ling needed immediate surgery with a high success rate, so instead of stopping her outright, I stayed quiet and let her give her diagnosis first. Han, you're overstepping, Gu Ling said coldly. Mr. Gu! Han shot me a glare. Then he led Situ to Gu Ling's bedside. Dr. Situ, this is Mr. Gu I mentioned on the phone. Mr. Gu, in honor, let me examine you. But as she reached for his wrist, he flinched away. Han quickly placed a handkerchief over Gu Ling's wrist and apologized. Sorry, Mr. Gu has a thing about touching women. Please bear with us. Situ blinked, then forced a smile, but her face turned serious. Mr. Gu, this injury has been left for over 12 hours, hasn't it? It wasn't that bad originally, but you suffered a second trauma a few hours ago. If we don't operate soon, you could end up bedridden for life. That last sentence hit everyone like a bomb. Is it really that serious? He doesn't look that bad. How? Han couldn't help but question. It's internal. You can't see internal injuries with the naked eye, Situ replied. Miss the window and he'll be in a wheelchair forever. Han and Ah Wei went pale, then their furious gazes landed on me trembling. All because of her. She's the reason he's this bad. Situ saw their panic and felt smug. She knew Guling was important, and if she pulled off this surgery, she'd have him in her pocket. So she smiled. But don't worry. I've got a plan. With me, it's a sure thing. But just as Han was about to move forward with her, I stepped between them and declared, anyone but her, she's not touching him. Situ froze, frowning. Before she could speak, Han exploded. Not her! You want him paralyzed? Get out of my way! He tried to shove me aside, but I held my ground. She can't cure him. She's a fake, a total quack. A quack? I'm the top orthopedist in the city. You're questioning my expertise? Expertise, please. In my past life, her incompetence and greed are what left Guling with permanent damage. No way am I letting that happen again. She's just a social climber with a bought reputation. Want me to dig up all your dirty secrets? The room went dead silent. Situ laughed in disbelief, pointing at me. Fine, fine, you're the first to ever question my skills. Since you don't trust me, find someone else. She turned to leave. Han panicked. Dr. Situ, please, we're serious about hiring you. We'll double your fee and I'll get rid of her right now. You've got 5 minutes to handle this. Then he spun to me, tears of frustration in his eyes. Su Li, you stood by and watched him fall down the stairs and now you're stopping treatment. What more do you want? I'll give you 10 seconds to leave. I knew my past actions didn't earn me any trust, so I didn't argue with Han. Instead, I turned to Guling, whose lips curled with bitter resignation. Guling, I'm not asking for forgiveness, just trust me one last time, just this once, okay? His dead eyes stared at me, calm on the surface but hollow inside. He looked at the woman he'd loved for half his life, and for the first time, he saw anxiety in my eyes. Trust you? He's trusted you every time. Everyone in Zhongcheng knows how useless you are, just get out of here. Han pulled out his phone to call security. But before he could dial, Gu Ling's voice cut through, firm and final. Han, take Dr. Situ back. We'll do the surgery tomorrow. What? Han couldn't believe his ears. His hand shook as he held the phone. He knew how much Gu Ling loved me, but the shrewd, ruthless business tycoon was now willing to throw his own life away for a woman. Han's chest burned with frustration as he stared at Gu Ling. Gu Ling knew perfectly well how useless I was, how much I despised him, but he'd never denied me anything. Even when he knew I was lying from the start. If that's what you want, I'll give it to you. Go ahead. I'll wait right here. I won't accept any treatment until you come back. That was his answer, staking his life on me. Fine, Mr. Gu, very wise. Hope you don't come begging me tomorrow. Situ sneered at me and stormed out. Han was furious and helpless. Gu Ling's word was law. No one could change his mind. He might gamble his life on me, but Han couldn't. If Gu Ling went down, the whole empire would collapse. If anything happens to Mr. Gu, you will die a very ugly death. After that threat, Han chased after Situ. But my priority now was finding the legendary miracle doctor from my past life. Gu Ling couldn't wait any longer. This time, I won't let him down. After I left the room with determined steps, Gu Ling slowly opened his eyes and stared at the door, as if memorizing my silhouette. Stay? Why do you have to be all about Su Li? Are you really willing to lose half your life for her? Ah Wei, born from a rough background, could barely suppress his killer instinct. If not for his discipline and Gu Ling's love for me, he'd have ended me right there. Arrange my return to the capital the day after tomorrow, Gu Ling sighed. How Wei blinked. Was he finally giving up on Su Li? But then Gu Ling added weakly, get the plane ready and bring Dr. Situ back immediately. He smiled faintly. Don't tell anyone about my injuries. He meant that if he had to collapse, he'd do it in the capital, not in Zhongcheng, so his family wouldn't take it out on me. Ah Wei's eyes welled up. Even dying, Gu Ling was still covering for Su Li. You'd better not be lying this time. If he dies, I'll hunt you down even if it costs me everything. I didn't care about their distrust. My mind was racing through every detail of that miracle doctor from my past life. Maybe because I'm reborn, my memories are crystal clear. I remember that the reclusive healer was burned alive in a fire, and it made the news. The time? Tomorrow morning, just hours from now. I rushed to a small courtyard on Changtian Street. It was rustic, with a wooden sign that read, Miraculous Healer. To most people, it'd look like a gimmick. But I knew. That sign was a personal gift from an emperor back in the Qing dynasty. Dr. Murong, I'll give you anything. Please save my daughter. She's all I have. A wealthy-looking woman was begging at the gate. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. Murong's junior apprentice stood at the door, unmoved. I don't know how you found us, but I'll say it one last time. Doesn't matter who you are. My aunt retired a year ago. She sees no more patients. The woman tried to plead more, but the door slammed shut. She stared at it, despair in her eyes. No hope left. The doctor gave her 10 days. If we don't find a cure, she's gone. Why is heaven so cruel? It took my husband. Now it wants my only daughter. What good is all this status? She stumbled away, and I still couldn't recall where I'd seen her. But her rejection didn't surprise me. In my past life, I only knew Murong Shui was hiding in Zhongcheng because of a headline. She'd be burned alive in this very house at 5 a.m. tomorrow. The media storm was triggered by a patient she'd supposedly killed a year earlier, though the family didn't press charges. But that incident became her trauma, and she quit medicine entirely. After her death, the truth came out. She wasn't at fault. The patient had taken another doctor's meds at the same time. The drugs interacted and killed him. Murong was too prominent, and the family hid it, blackmailing her for millions and sweeping it under the rug. So she took the blame. I sighed. Decades of healing ruined by greedy scumbags. She probably died without ever clearing her name. Just then, the door in front of me swung open. The junior apprentice told me coldly, "My aunt retired a year ago. No consults. Don't waste your time." Then the door slammed shut again. I wasn't angry. I knew her trauma wouldn't let her treat anyone. So instead of knocking, I shouted through the door, "Dr. Murong, I know why you retired and stopped treating patients. That medical accident wasn't your fault. The family hired 2 doctors at once. The patient took both prescriptions, the drugs clashed, and he died. It had nothing to do with you." My raised voice carried through the window. Inside, the old lady trembled, dropping her herbs. Tears welled up in her tired eyes. She looked like she'd heard something unbelievable. Her apprentice rushed to the door and yanked it open. "What did you just say?" From the inner room came a hoarse, calm voice. "Young lady, you said that accident wasn't my fault." I nodded firmly. Murong took a deep breath and looked at me seriously. "Whether it's true or not, thank you, I'll look into it. Dr. Murong, checking will take time, but you might not even survive until morning. Guling needs surgery within 24 hours, I can't wait." The only thing I could do was use my foreknowledge to earn her trust. "How dare you curse my aunt?" The apprentice's face darkened. Murong's expression also soured. She'd half believed me, but now I was saying she'd be dead by dawn. She shook her head bitterly. I was fooling myself, it was my fault back then. She was about to tell her apprentice to kick me out, but I pressed on. "Dr. Murong, I'm not joking. If you don't believe me, I guarantee you won't live to see sunrise. And if I'm lying, then I'll die tomorrow myself." The apprentice grabbed my collar in rage. "What nonsense are you spouting? I don't care if you die, don't curse my aunt!" He started dragging me out, but the pharmacy door opened and an elderly man in white stopped him. "Let her go, let her speak." I straightened myself. "I'm Suli. I've long admired your reputation, Dr. Murong." She sized me up, then seemed disappointed. "I don't remember you, but I'll skip the past." "Just tell me, what do you mean I won't live past tomorrow?" I looked her in the eye. "Sorry for the bluntness, but we're short on time. I came to ask you to save my husband. If you agree, I'll help you avert a life-threatening disaster." "You, a nobody with nothing but words?" The apprentice scoffed. Murong showed no emotion. She stared at me blankly, tone slightly irked. "I don't know how you found me, but since you know about the past, you should know my temper. Plenty of people beg me to treat them, but you're the first to curse me. Still, since fate brought you here, I'll give you a chance to explain." I smiled calmly, walked to the counter, wrote my number on a piece of paper, and turned to her. "Tomorrow at about 5:15 a.m., the pharmacy on the left will catch fire. When you put it out, check the white bucket. Make sure it's water, not something else. I've said my piece, believe it or not, it's up to you. My number's there. Call me." With that, I turned and walked out. Such a cocky attitude. Murong picked up the note, but the apprentice was fuming. "Auntie, why didn't you let me stop her? I should have torn her mouth off, cursing you like a fake fortune teller." But Murong didn't even glance at the number. She tossed it in the trash. The apprentice closed the door and went back to the pharmacy. Even though they used coal, not gas, for their decoctions, the apprentice couldn't shake my words. An hour later, after finishing the meds and banking the fire, he was about to go to bed. But my warning echoed in his head. "I'll stay up and watch this furnace all night. Let's see if she's right." He sat down and stared at the fire. He was alert for the first half, but by 4 a.m. his eyelids got heavy. Around 5, he nodded off on his knees. Suddenly, a faint smell of gas filled the air. A draft blew sparks from the stove onto the curtain. The whole room went up in flames and smoke. He jolted awake to a scorching heat and suffocating smoke. When he saw the blaze, he was wide awake. Panicking, he scrambled to the door and grabbed the white bucket. Then my words flashed in his mind. "Check the liquid in the white bucket. Make sure it's water." He took a sniff. It was gasoline. His blood ran cold. He'd bought that gas earlier that day. She was right. Shaken, he ran for real water and extinguished the flames just in time. The place was blackened, but they were alive. Murong woke up to the commotion and saw the damage. "How did this start?" Her apprentice recounted everything, still trembling with fear. Both their bedrooms were right next to the pharmacy. Gasoline would have trapped them with no escape. He looked at Murong, horrified. "If it weren't for that woman, we'd be dead now. Auntie, can people really see the future?" Murong found it equally bizarre. After a long silence, she said slowly, "Maybe it was coincidence, but she saved our lives. Go find her number." Meanwhile, I was carrying a thermos of chicken soup to the hospital when my phone rang. It was Murong. I let out a long breath. The weight on my chest finally lifted. With Murong on board, Guling's injuries should be handled. But when I reached his floor, I found Han and Ah Wei begging Situ Jing to operate. Han spotted me and snapped, "Suli, where's that miracle doctor you promised?" She's on her way, I replied calmly. Han let out a sarcastic laugh and didn't bother arguing. Enough with the act. You just want money, don't you? Ah, wait, pay her off. At his signal, 4 guards opened cases of cash. Suli, if you agree to let Mr. Gu have surgery right now, all this is yours. I glanced at the stacks, unmoved. I don't want money. Keep it. Not enough? Trying to up the price? Here's a blank check. Fill in whatever number you want. Han slapped it in front of me. Happy now? Normally he'd never give me a cent, but he was desperate. Guling was unconscious. Only a relative could sign off on surgery, and his family was all in the capital, so I was the only one who could do it. But I didn't even glance at the check. I brushed past Han and headed straight for Guling's room. Suli, what else do you want? Only Dr. Situ can save him. He's unconscious and running out of time. Please, for the sake of what you once had, I'm begging you. Han's desperate voice made my heart sink. Guling was out? I didn't waste a second and ran to his door. Sir, you can't go in. Patient's critical. A nurse blocked me. Through the glass, I saw him lying pale, hooked up to oxygen, barely hanging on. Even without medical training, I knew he was in terrible shape. See that, Suli? If you hadn't stopped Dr. Situ, he wouldn't be like this. Han shoved the consent form at me. Back off! My sharp tone made him flinch and shut up. Ignoring him, I stepped aside and dialed Murong. From across the hall, Situ watched me approach with a smug grin. Yesterday she'd been humiliated, now I'd have to beg, she'd make me kneel. Suli, I'm the only one who can save him now, but it won't be that easy this time. I paused, looked at her like she was an idiot, and walked right past her. Situ stood frozen. Wasn't she supposed to plead with me? The look I'd given her stung like a slap. She glared at my back and spat. So you really want Guling dead? No one in this city knows more than me. Don't regret this. Soon after, Murong arrived in her faded traditional garb with her apprentice. I hurried over. Where's the patient? Take me now! She got straight to business. I led her toward Guling's room. Han eyed her outfit and frowned. Dr. Situ, do you know her? No idea. Situ smirked. I have some reputation in this city. I know every specialist from the provincial to the municipal level. Never seen this person before. There are lots of scammers out there. Watch out. Money's one thing, but a life is serious. Han's face went cold. He'd met many skilled doctors, but Murong looked nothing like a miracle healer. Would he trust her? No way. He took a breath and decided to stop my nonsense. Suli, Mr. Gu bet his life on you finding a real doctor, and this is what you bring? You reject Dr. Situ and pick up some random barefoot quack off the street. Are you trying to finish him off? Before I could answer, my apprentice snapped. Who's a quack? My aunt is a world-renowned medical leader. Countless big shots have begged for her help and couldn't even find her. Situ sneered. Medical leader. Let me ask, do you even have a license? A license? Ha! A fake like you dares to question Dr. Murong? You're not worthy. Situ's smirk vanished. She was shaking with fury. If not for Guling's favor, she'd have walked away for good. Just then, a nurse opened the door. The patient is awake. He wants to speak. Whose family? I rushed in without another word. Guling looked ghostly pale and weak. My heart clenched. I knelt beside his bed and whispered, Guling, I found a real healer. You'll be fine. I also brought you soup. After she treats you, you can have some. He stared at me, dazed. Was he dreaming? Suli had never spoken to him like this. Han stormed in. Mr. Gu, she found some quack to treat you. Guling's eyes cleared, and a bitter smile flickered. Given my past coldness, he had every reason to believe I'd do something like this. Guling, I swear she's a real miracle doctor. She can heal you. Trust me. He looked at Han, then at me, and sighed. Let the doctor she brought treat me. Han and Awei's faces dropped. Mr. Gu, you can't risk your life like this. Dr. Situ is right here. She's the only one who can save you. I said whatever she wants, I'll give. Guling's eyes opened. Even sick, his authority was absolute. No one could defy him. Han's heart ached. How could he trust her to the point of giving up his own life? But Han knew Guling's temper. Once decided, it couldn't be changed. Just like when he married me against his family's wishes. So Han bit his tongue and gave up arguing. His job was to carry out orders, even if they were wrong. Dr. Situ, step out with me. He let her out. Not to persuade, but to prepare for damage control. Awei hesitated, sighed, and followed. As he passed me, he paused and said coldly, Suli, if anything happens to Mr. Gu, I'll make sure you don't leave this hospital alive. Then he left with the guards. I didn't care about their threats. All I could see was Guling. Trust me, you'll get through this. He just smiled faintly. I stepped aside for Murong. Dr. Murong, please. Don't worry, from what I can feel, it's internal damage. A few acupuncture sessions and he should recover well. Hearing that steadied my nerves. Knowing he needed absolute quiet, I hesitated only a moment before leaving the room. Outside, Han and Situ were watching the room and talking. Dr. Situ, if anything goes wrong in there, please be ready to step in and operate. Don't worry, I won't let Mr. Gu die. Han relaxed a bit. Good, as long as you're here, he should be fine. Just then, I walked out of the room. No way. There's no way those few silver needles can actually drain all that stagnant blood from Gu Ling's body. Actually, yeah, some people can do that with needles. Those people are called national doctors. But across the entire country, you can count them on one hand. Even the biggest shots in Jiang City can't always get one of them. So how could a nobody like Su Li possibly pull that off? Sit Jing, what's going on here? Before Sit Jing could even process what just happened, Han Li's worried voice came from the side. Sit Jing turned at the sound, his eyes flickering toward the hospital room. I can't say for sure yet. Let's just wait and see. Han Li nervously turned his gaze back inside. Under Mu Rongshu's steady hand, the old blood inside Gu Ling kept draining out. His complexion was improving by the second, cheeks slowly regaining color. Just from the outside, Gu Ling already looked way better. A moment later, Mu Rongshu pulled out all the needles and stepped back. Seeing her stop, his face suddenly turned dark. Okay, that's enough. Now I'm sure this person is a total quack. Han Li's heart dropped. Dr. Sit, did he mess up the treatment? Sit Jing didn't answer. He just opened the door. Right then, Mu Rongshui and her junior apprentice were about to walk out. Sit Jing stood in front of them, looking all righteous. You call yourself a doctor? He snapped. You're just using a tiny bit of traditional Chinese medicine to scam people. It's frauds like you that are dragging the whole profession down. You're right, TCM is deep. I really have only scratched the surface, so what's your expert opinion then? Sit Jing sneered. Wouldn't call myself an expert. But basic stuff? Every med student knows it. You know the patient's internal organs are damaged, right? You think just draining the blood is enough? No sutures? A few tricks and you call yourself a miracle worker? Mu Rongshu's wrinkled old face stayed completely calm, almost amused as she looked at him. Internal organ damage requires sutures. Are you saying it doesn't? Sit Jing laughed sarcastically. If you don't stitch it up, what happens when he bleeds out again? You're supposed to be a healer. Don't you know you judge the severity of internal injuries by the amount of blood pooling? Even Mu Rongshu's patience ran out. She let out a cold laugh. So according to you, any minor internal injury means we crack the chest open? That's your idea of responsible? Ridiculous. She flicked her sleeve and walked right past Sit Jing. Before he could react, her apprentice stared at him like he was an idiot. From his pulse, the damage isn't nearly bad enough to need surgery. Otherwise, do you think he'd still be alive right now? The moment those words landed, Sit Jing's face went pale. In Western medicine, most internal injuries do require stitching. But he forgot one thing. A lot of that stitching is just a safety net. But a real TCM master can accurately assess the damage, and if the wound is small enough, no sutures are needed. Before Sit Jing could recover from the shock, Mu Rongshui handed me a prescription she'd already written. Get these herbs for him. If you can find the 2 key ingredients, he'll be back on his feet in 2 weeks. If not, use these substitutes. They're not as potent, and recovery will take longer. Han Li glanced at the prescription and immediately spoke up. These 2 herbs, the family pharmacy back in the capital has them. Give me the prescription. Our family's herbs are way better quality than what's on the market. I'll have them shipped over. Mokyosha gave a slight nod. After handing the prescription to Han Li, she turned to me with a smile. Miss Su Li, I think we're done here. I'll be heading back now. If you ever need anything, just say the word. I nodded. Let me walk you out, Senior Mu Rong. And with that, I escorted Mu Rongshui and her apprentice out of the hospital corridor. Han Li watched them leave, hesitated for a moment, then walked up to Sit Jing. Dr. Sit, could you take a look at this prescription? Compared to the doctor I brought, he trusted Sit Jing's expertise way more. Sure, let me see. Sit Jing took the prescription with mild curiosity, but the moment he read it, his mind was blown. What separates a top-tier national doctor from the rest? It's not just the techniques, it's the prescriptions. And this one from Mu Rongbei? Even a non-expert like Sit Jing could tell it was something special. This wasn't some back-alley doc scribble. This was the work of a true master. And to think he'd actually asked her for a medical license earlier. His face burned with embarrassment. Han Li noticed his expression shift. Dr. Sit, is something wrong? No, nothing. Sit Jing snapped out of it and quickly composed himself. Sure, Mu Rongshu's prescription was impressive, but Sit Jing was still a top expert in Jiang City's medical scene. No way he was going to admit he was outclassed in front of Han Li of all people. He didn't know exactly who this Mr. Gu was, but he knew enough. Gu Ling's background was massive. If he wanted in on that connection, he had to prove his worth. But this prescription? By his judgment, it was already perfect. He couldn't find a single flaw. He wrestled with it for a long time, then finally made up his mind. Putting on a serious face, he said, There's a big problem with this prescription. These ingredients have conflicting properties. If Mr. Gu takes this, his condition will get worse. We need to change it. What? Han Li's breath caught. Conflicting properties? Dr. Sit, what do we do now? Han Li asked, panicked. I'll swap out 3 ingredients, then this prescription will actually heal him. Sit Jing pulled a pen from his chest pocket and crossed out 3 herbs. Then he wrote in 3 replacements. Han Li watched Sit Jing's calm, steady demeanor and felt reassured. He breathed a small sigh of relief. Good thing he had Sit Jing check it. Otherwise, this could have been a disaster. Thank God for Dr. Sit. If it weren't for him, that quack I brought in might have actually killed Mr. Gu. Sit Jing saw Han Li's reaction and smiled faintly. On the surface, the 3 herbs he swapped looked like a big change, but any real insider would know they had nearly identical effects. It was a bit risky, sure, but based on his experience, the substitution wouldn't affect the formula much. More importantly, this move would make Han Li think his skills were above Mu Rongshui's, the perfect way to show his value. On the way out, I chatted with Mu Rongshui for a bit. She hesitated, then finally asked, Miss Su Li, the things you told me yesterday, was it really all because of a dream? She didn't suspect me of starting the fire, for good reason. The clinic's back room had no rear exit. To set a fire, I'd have to go through the front door. Plus, her apprentice was sleeping in that very room that night. There was no way I could have pulled it off unnoticed. But then how did I know the clinic would catch fire? She didn't buy the dream excuse. I just smiled. Think of it as a 6th sense, Senior Mu Rong. A 6th sense? She blinked. Does that kind of thing even exist? Something science can't explain? She couldn't figure it out, and she knew I wasn't going to elaborate, so she just shook her head and let it go. However, I knew she owed me one. Miss Su Li, feel free to drop by the clinic anytime. I smiled. Definitely. After seeing them off, I was about to head back to the room. Then I heard someone yell my nickname from behind. I turned around instinctively, and before I could react, some guy crashed right into my arms. Liar! You said you'd call me when you got home the other night. I waited all day and night. I asked Sister Bijun and she told me you were here. So have you divorced that goo guy yet? When are you gonna marry me? He held onto me tightly. I frowned in disgust. I shoved him off and shot him a cold, mocking glare. This guy? Bai Zihua, my childhood friend who grew up with me. Whether it was Shen Bijun's manipulation or his own choice, he'd played along in her little scheme. Bai Zihua, you set me up, and now you have the nerve to come talk to me about this? My eyes were ice cold as I stared him down. He flinched. Something about me felt completely different, like a stranger. He scrambled to explain. Liar, I didn't set you up. I just wanted to... Enough, don't come find me anymore. I didn't have the patience to argue. I turned and walked straight back into the hospital. Bai Zihua watched me leave, opened his mouth a few times to call me back, to explain, but that one look from me, the disgust, the hatred, was enough to stop him cold. In the end, he didn't follow. He just walked away from the hospital with tears in his eyes. In the alley outside, Shen Bijun watched Bai Zihua run past, wiping his tears, and smiled coldly. She'd been following him the whole time. She saw everything, the hug, the whole scene. Shortly after he left, a sleazy-looking girl walked up to her. Miss Shen, it's done. She handed over her phone. On it was a photo, me and Bai Zihua locked in an embrace. Gotta hand it to her. The angle was perfect. It caught his profile. You couldn't see my face or expression, but you could clearly see Bai Zihua looking all pitiful and needy, like he was begging for affection. If Shen Bijun didn't already know the deal between us, she'd have thought he was my actual husband. Nice work. Shen Bijun nodded approvingly, her smile widening. Send me that photo, I'll transfer the money. Thank you, Miss Shen. The girl bowed and scraped. Shen Bijun glanced in the direction I'd gone, her smile fading slightly. Too bad I don't have Guling's contact info. If I could send this directly to him, that'd be perfect. Back inside the hospital. Hurry up and get the meds. As soon as it's ready, bring it over. Han Li had just handed the prescription to a subordinate when his phone buzzed. He frowned, pulled it out, and saw a photo from an unknown number. He opened it with curiosity, and his pupils contracted instantly. It was a photo of me and Bai Zihua hugging. Su Li... Han Li gripped his phone, hands trembling with rage. His knuckles were white from the pressure. How can someone be this shameless? She wants to get back with Mr. Gu, but she's all over some other guy, and they're still married. His anger was boiling over, but then he forced himself to calm down. He felt powerless. After a long struggle, he let out a heavy sigh. I'll find the right time to tell Mr. Gu later. Then he quietly saved the original photo. I had just walked back into the hospital when my adoptive mother, Shen Aoshuang, called. Guling, do you have any idea how much damage you've done by tearing up that contract? Get your butt back here now, immediately. My face went cold. Without me, Guling wouldn't even know who you are. Stop trying to squeeze him for handouts and stay out of my business. Or else. I hung up before she could respond. As I headed toward Guling's room, I noticed a middle-aged woman peeking into one room, then another, like she was searching for someone, and I recognized her. It was the same woman who got kicked out of the clinic by Mu Rongshui's apprentice yesterday. Looking at her face, that strange sense of familiarity hit me again. I'd definitely seen her somewhere before. Wait, Dugu Qingcheng, chairman of Qingcheng Group in Longjiang Province, one of the top 10 richest people in the province. The Shen family wasn't even in the same league, and in my current position, I'd never normally cross paths with someone like her. The only reason I knew her was because I'd read about her in my past life. Her husband, Sima Zhao, was her second husband, not the father of her daughter, Dugu Yue. Sima Zhao had been slowly poisoning her daughter to get his hands on the family fortune. The poison was odorless and tasteless. After Dugu Yue died, even the doctors couldn't figure out what happened. But Dugu Qingcheng wouldn't give up. She spent a fortune to bring in a national doctor. He eventually identified the poison and even found the antidote, but by then it was already too late. I paused for a moment, then walked straight up to her. Chairman Dugu, hello. She looked startled, then frowned. Little girl, you've got the wrong person. I'm not Dugu Ching Chung. She turned to leave without another word. I wasn't in a rush. I just said, Chairman Dugu, your daughter is dying, and I'm the only one who can save her. Premonition? She paused. Does something like that even exist? Something science can't explain? Her whole body stiffened. Then anger flared in her eyes. Young lady, if you're trying to get my attention with this kind of talk, you're way overdoing it. Her gaze turned ice cold. Most people trying to curry favor with her would butter her up. This was the first time someone cursed her daughter's death. If Mu Rongxie weren't nearby, she might have already swung at me. I stayed calm and smiled. Chairman Dugu, I know you don't believe me, but I think you're also aware that your husband and your daughter haven't exactly been getting along, have they? You're overthinking it. My family is very harmonious. She tried to push past me. I continued. Chairman Dugu, your husband Sima Zhao is trying to kill your daughter. If you don't believe me, go check your security footage tonight. See if I'm lying. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she laughed. I'll check the footage, but if I find nothing, tomorrow there might be one more unidentified body on Central Avenue. Her eyes were cold as ice. She flicked her sleeve and strode into the elevator. I watched her go and let out a slow breath. Dealing with someone like her, you really could end up dead. But I wasn't too worried. Once she checks that footage, she'll know exactly what her husband did. The next morning, Guling had just taken his meds and lay down when I walked in with a thermos. Han Li's disgust for me only deepened. Su Li, why are you still here? Mr. Gu needs rest. Can you please stop stressing him out? I'm just bringing him some soup. I held up the thermos. You know exactly how your soup tastes. Mr. Gu's already in this state. Are you trying to finish him off? Han Li was furious, but Guling interrupted him. Han Li, let her bring it over. Han Li was fuming. He couldn't understand it. Guling was a business tycoon, a strategic genius in the boardroom. But when it came to me, all that logic went out the window. Still, he didn't want to upset Guling. He grudgingly said, Awei, taste the soup. Make sure it's not poisoned. Awei didn't waste words. He took the thermos, poured a small bowl, and downed it in one go. He'd been with Guling long enough to know all the crazy stuff I'd done before. He expected it to taste awful, like always. But the moment it hit his tongue, he was surprised. It was savory, not greasy, perfectly seasoned. He looked at me, slightly confused. Did you really make this? Han Li noticed his expression. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Awei shook his head, looking complicated. No way. Han Li didn't believe it. He tried it himself, and was equally surprised. It was genuinely good. Had she changed her strategy? Win him over with kindness first, then stab him in the back? I could guess what they were both thinking. I didn't bother explaining. I just walked over to the bed and sat down. Guling, here, have some soup. My voice was soft and gentle. He looked momentarily stunned. I'd never spoken to him like this before. It was always cold stares and harsh words. He looked at me for a few seconds, then gave a small, indifferent nod. I smiled, blew on a spoonful, and gently fed it to him. The whole scene was so warm that Han Li and Awei felt like they were dreaming. If they didn't know my track record, they'd have thought we were a loving couple. After a few sips, Guling looked at me with complicated eyes. Su Li, you don't have to do this. I've already given you everything I can. If you want more, I can't give it. I smiled gently and shook my head. I don't want anything. I just want you to get better. He looked at me, and I could see the emotion flickering in his eyes. Then, cough, blood sprayed from his mouth. Han Li's pupils contracted. He shouted, Doctor! Nurse, now! In his fury, he shoved me to the floor. Just then, Sit Jing rushed in. What happened? Mr. Gu had some soup, then suddenly started spitting blood, Han Li explained. Sit Jing's heart skipped a beat. Could it be because of the 3 herbs he swapped? No. The replacements were nearly identical in effect. Even if there was a minor issue, it shouldn't cause this. Acupuncture. It must be that old woman's acupuncture. With that thought, Sit Jing rushed to the bedside and examined Guling. As soon as he finished, Han Li asked anxiously, Dr. Sit, how is he? Sit Jing looked grim. Based on my initial exam, the medication isn't the problem. The bleeding is most likely caused by the acupuncture. What? Han Li and Awei's faces went pale. I got up off the floor and grabbed Sit Jing by the collar. You quack! What did you do? If anything happens to my husband, I'll make sure your whole family pays. Su Li, that's enough. I actually believed you found a real miracle worker. You're just trying to kill Mr. Gu. Han Li shouted. Then Guling coughed up another mouthful of blood. All 3 of us panicked. I didn't waste time arguing with Han Li. I stepped aside and called Mu Rongxue. Half an hour later, Sit Jing wiped the sweat off his forehead. The patient is stable for now. Han Li let out a long breath. Thank God. Sit Jing glanced at me and added pointedly, Han Li, I hope you trust our hospital's professionalism. Don't let just anyone treat the patient. If something goes wrong, we can't take responsibility. Understood, Dr. Sit. It won't happen again. But just as Han Li agreed, Mu Rongxue and her apprentice rushed in. She was still in her traditional outfit, a thin layer of sweat on her forehead, clearly in a hurry. Hanley's face went cold. "You two are not allowed in!" He turned to me with a glare. "Suli, if it weren't for you, Dr. Sit would have already operated and cured Mr. Gu. Now his condition hasn't improved. He's lost even more blood, and it's all because of this so-called miracle worker you brought. I will not allow her into this room today." I frowned. Sit Jing is a quack. As for why Gu Ling is bleeding, just step aside and let Senior Mu Rong take a look. Sit Jing sneered at Han Li. "Han Li, I suggest you call the police. Let them handle this. These charlatans should face legal consequences." The young apprentice couldn't hold back anymore. She glared at Sit Jing. "Shut up! My master has been practicing medicine for decades and has never made a mistake. When my master started treating patients, you were still playing in the mud." Sit Jing sneered. "The evidence is clear that you're guilty of medical malpractice, and you're still making excuses? It couldn't have been my master." The apprentice tried to argue, but Mu Rongxue held her back. Her old, weathered face remained expressionless. She looked at Sit Jing with calm eyes. "Young man, acupuncture only expels stagnant blood. It doesn't harm the patient. We'll need to examine him to determine the real cause of the bleeding." Sit Jing laughed dryly. "So it's our hospital's fault then?" Without waiting for a reply, he turned to Han Li. "Han Li, if you let these two treat the patient, any medical complications will not be our hospital's responsibility. Furthermore, if you allow them to treat him, I'll ask you to discharge him immediately." Han Li's face darkened. Gu Ling's condition was already bad. How could they just leave? He pointed at Mu Rongxue and her apprentice. "Please leave this room right now. Senior Mu Rong, please stay." I stepped in front of Han Li. Han Li's face was purple with rage. "Suli, what are you trying to do?" I looked him straight in the eye. "Han Li, I don't care what you think of me, but if Senior Mu Rong doesn't go in there today, Gu Ling is going to be in serious danger." "That's bullshit!" Han Li was shaking with anger. He pointed at Gu Ling's pale face through the window. "Mr. Gu is in this condition because he trusted you. And now you want this quack to finish him off?" I stopped arguing with him. I turned to look at Gu Ling through the glass window. He was leaning weakly against the bed. His eyes found me through the crowd, and in those eyes, once full of disappointment, there was still a flicker of trust. My heart clenched. "Gu Ling, do you trust me?" I asked softly through the glass, loud enough for him to hear. He managed a weak smile. "Yes." One word, but it weighed a ton. Han Li and Awei both froze. Gu Ling raised a hand to stop Han Li. "Let her in." Sit Jing's face twisted. "Han Li, if you insist on letting these two treat him, I'm leaving right now. After today, Mr. Gu's life or death is none of my concern." Han Li's eyes were red. "Dr. Sit, you can't leave!" Sit Jing laughed coldly. "It's not that I want to leave. It's that you don't trust me. What's the point of me staying?" Han Li gritted his teeth and turned to me. "Suli, if anything happens to Mr. Gu because of you, I swear I'll make your life a living hell." He stepped aside. I didn't bother responding to his threat. I rushed in with Mu Rongxue and her apprentice. Mu Rongxue went straight to Gu Ling's bedside. She checked his complexion, his eyes, his tongue, then took his pulse. After a moment, her expression turned grave. "Master, what's wrong?" the apprentice asked nervously. Mu Rongxue didn't answer. She took out a silver needle and gently inserted it into an acupoint on Gu Ling's arm. When she pulled it out, the tip was tinged with an eerie greenish black. "Poison!" The word hit the room like a thunderclap. My face went white. "Poison? How?" Sit Jing jumped in. "Don't listen to her. I checked him myself. He was stable. There's no way he's poisoned." Mu Rongxue gave him a cold look. "If I'm not mistaken, someone tampered with the medicine." Han Li's face changed. "I personally supervised the preparation. Someone was watching the whole time. There's no way. Bring me the leftover herbs." Han Li hesitated, then had someone bring the remaining ingredients. Mu Rongxue examined them carefully, her eyes flashing with anger. Just as I thought, 3 of the herbs were swapped. They're similar in nature, but one of them clashes with the stagnant blood in Gu Ling's body. Instead of detoxifying, it's activating the poison. Sit Jing's face went pale. "You're lying!" "I changed the prescription." "So what? I was trying to make it more effective. The herbs I used are practically identical. There's no way they caused this." The words were out before he could stop them. He clamped his mouth shut, but it was too late. Han Li stared at him in disbelief. "Dr. Sit, you changed the prescription?" I was just trying to help. I meant well." I was boiling with rage. "You meant well. What a joke!" I stepped forward and got in his face. "You wanted to prove you're better than Senior Mu Rong. You wanted to get in with the Gu family, and you used my husband's life as a gamble. Who do you think you are?" Sit Jing stumbled backward. I'm not. I just changed 3 herbs. How was I supposed to know?" Mu Rongxue cut him off coldly. "You didn't know, because you're a quack. You don't even understand basic pharmacology, yet you dared to alter a master's prescription. That's manslaughter." Sit Jing's face was ashen. Han Li finally understood. He looked at Sit Jing with murder in his eyes. "Sit Jing, you quack! You almost killed Mr. Gu!" "No, I swear, I just wanted to help." Awei stepped forward and grabbed Sit Jing's wrist. You can explain that to the police. Sit Jing panicked. No! Please don't call the police. I was wrong. I'm sorry. No one listened. A Wei had him taken away. I didn't waste time on Sit Jing. I turned to Mu Rong Shui. Senior Mu Rong, what now? She looked serious. The poison has reached his organs. I need to perform acupuncture to draw it out. But this procedure is risky. I need absolute quiet. I nodded firmly. Got it. We'll wait outside. I led Han Li and A Wei out. Through the glass, I watched Mu Rongshui lay out a row of silver needles and insert them into Gu Ling's acupoints with practiced precision. Minutes dragged by like hours. Han Li stood beside me. He opened his mouth a few times, but ended up just biting his lip. After half an hour, Mu Rongshui finally removed the needles. Her forehead was covered in sweat, and she looked pale. Master, are you okay? The apprentice asked, supporting her. Mu Rongshui waved her off and opened the door. I rushed in. Gu Ling's color was already better. He gave me a weak smile. I'm fine. My eyes welled up. Mu Rongshui walked over slowly. The poison is mostly cleared, but Mr. Gu is weak. He needs careful recovery. I'll personally prepare the prescription and decoct the medicine. No one else will touch it. Han Li bowed deeply. Thank you, divine Dr. Mu Rong. Mu Rongshui waved him off. Thank Miss Su Li. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't be alive today. Han Li looked at me with a complicated expression. He opened his mouth, then finally forced out, Su Li, I'm sorry. I shook my head. No need to apologize. Just trust me from now on. I would never hurt Gu Ling. Han Li nodded firmly. Just then, someone knocked on the door. A Wei went to open it. Standing outside was the middle-aged woman from yesterday, Du Gu Qingcheng. But this time there was no coldness or arrogance on her face, only panic and gratitude. She dropped to her knees the moment she saw me. Miss Su Li, please, save my daughter! I hurried to help her up. Chairman Du Gu, please get up! But she refused. Tears streamed down her face. Miss Su Li, everything you said yesterday was true. I checked the footage. That monster really was poisoning Yue Er. I want to kill him. But Yue Er has already been poisoned. The doctors say she only has 3 days left. Please save her. I looked at Mu Rongshui. She nodded. Take me to see her. Du Gu Qingcheng was overjoyed. She kowtowed repeatedly. Thank you, thank you. I glanced at Gu Ling. He smiled gently. Go, I'll be here when you get back. I nodded. I'll be back soon. I followed Du Gu Qingcheng out of the hospital. On the way, she told me everything. She checked the security footage last night and found Sima Zhao sneaking into her daughter's room every night to poison her drink. She confronted him on the spot. When he realized he'd been caught, he tried to kill her. Luckily, the bodyguards arrived in time and she barely escaped. But Du Gu Yue was already too far gone. She'd been unconscious since this morning. The hospital couldn't find the cause and told her to prepare for the worst. With nowhere else to turn, she came to me. We arrived at the Du Gu villa. Mu Rongshui examined Du Gu Yue and looked grim. This poison is rare. It requires a specific antidote. What is it? Du Gu Qingcheng asked desperately. I'll find it! Snow lotus from the Tian Shan Mountains. Du Gu Qingcheng's face fell. Snow lotus was practically a myth. Where was she supposed to find that? I spoke up. I know where there is one. Everyone turned to look at me. I looked at Mu Rongshui. Senior Mu Rong, remember? In your burnt pharmacy, there was a snow lotus you'd kept for years. Mu Rongshui's eyes widened. Oh, of course! That snow lotus was passed down from my master. It was stored in the basement. It should have survived the fire. The apprentice spoke up. I'll go get it. An hour later, she returned with the snow lotus. Mu Rongshui prepared the medicine herself and administered it to Du Gu Yue. An hour later, the girl's complexion started to improve. She slowly opened her eyes. Du Gu Qingcheng broke down, holding her daughter. Yue! My Yue! Du Gu Yue whispered weakly. Mom! Everyone in the room was moved. Du Gu Qingcheng wiped her tears and knelt before me again. Miss Su Li, you saved my daughter's life. From today on, you are the greatest benefactor of the Du Gu family. Whatever you need, I'll do it, anything. I helped her up. Chairman Du Gu, you're too kind. I just did what was right. She shook her head firmly. No, I will never forget this. As for Sima Zhao, I've already sent him to the police. He'll get what he deserves. I nodded, feeling a sense of justice. Evil gets what's coming to it. After dealing with the Du Gu family, I rushed back to the hospital. When I opened the door, Gu Ling was sitting up in bed reading. Sunlight fell on his face. It was beautiful. I walked over quietly and sat down beside him. Feeling better? He put down the book and smiled gently. Much better. Divine Dr. Mu Rong is truly skilled. I nodded, hesitated for a moment, then spoke. Gu Ling, there's something I need to tell you. He looked at me calmly. Go ahead. I took a deep breath and gathered my courage. I know I've done a lot of wrong things. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want you to know, from now on, I will never hurt you again. I will spend the rest of my life loving you and protecting you. His eyes flickered. He looked at me for a long time without speaking. My palms were sweating. I was terrified he wouldn't believe me. Finally, he spoke. Su Li, Do you know how long I've waited to hear you say that? My eyes stung. I'm sorry I kept you waiting so long. He took my hand gently. Don't apologize. As long as what you're saying now is real, I'll wait as long as it takes. I nodded emphatically. It's real. This time, it's absolutely real. He smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. Then I believe you. Just then, the door was kicked open. A middle-aged man in a suit stormed in, followed by a group of black-suited bodyguards. Hanley's face dropped. Mr. Gu, it's the Shen family. I looked up. It was Shen Wanshan, head of the Shen family, my adoptive father. His eyes were blazing with fury. Su Li, you ungrateful traitor! You dared to tear up the Gu Group transfer contract? Do you have any idea how much damage you've done to the Shen family? I stared back coldly. Shen Wanshan, this is not the place for you to throw a tantrum. He was shaking with rage. Fine, you ungrateful wretch! The Shen family raised you for over 20 years, and this is how you repay us? I laughed bitterly. Raised me? You used me as a tool to get close to Gu Ling and squeeze money out of him. When did you ever treat me like family? Shen Wanshan's face turned purple. You ungrateful... He turned to Gu Ling in the bed. Gu Ling, you see? This woman is not worth your love. She's a snake. Just sign the Gu Group over to the Shen family. It's not too late. Gu Ling looked at him coldly. Shen Wanshan, who do you think you are? You don't get to order me around. Shen Wanshan was taken aback, then furious. Gu Ling, don't be ungrateful. You think you're still the young master of the Gu family? Word of your injury has already spread. The Gu family is in chaos. No one is coming to save you. My face changed. Shen Wanshan, what are you planning? He sneered. What am I planning? I'm taking back what belongs to the Shen family. You're signing that contract today, whether you like it or not. He waved his hand and his bodyguards closed in. Wei and Han Li stepped in front of Gu Ling's bed. No one touches Mr. Gu, Shen Wanshan scoffed. You two women think you can stop me? Just as a fight seemed inevitable, a cold voice came from the hallway. Shen Wanshan, you've got some nerve. He turned, and his face went pale. It was Dugu Qingcheng, flanked by dozens of black-suited bodyguards. Chairman Dugu, what are you doing here? She laughed coldly. Miss Su Li is a benefactor of the Dugu family. You touch her, you touch me. Shen Wanshan's face went white. He never expected that I, the Shen family's adopted daughter, would have ties to Dugu Qingcheng. Then more footsteps. An elderly man in military uniform strode in, followed by armed soldiers. Han Li's face lit up. Old Master! I froze. Old Master? Could this be the Gu family patriarch? The old man walked to Gu Ling's bedside and looked at his pale face with deep concern. Minger, Grandpa came too late. Gu Ling shook his head. Grandpa, why are you here? Old Master Gu snorted. If I didn't come, my grandson would be bullied to death. He turned to Shen Wanshan, eyes sharp as knives. You want to force my grandson to sign a contract? Shen Wanshan was shaking in his boots. He never expected the Gu family patriarch to show up in person. Old Master Gu, it's a misunderstanding. All a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Old Master Gu waved his hand. Arrest this worthless scum! The soldiers moved in and detained Shen Wanshan and his bodyguards. He was trembling with fear. Old Master Gu, please have mercy, I just wanted... Old Master Gu cut him off. Enough. The Shen family ceases to exist, starting today. Shen Wanshan collapsed. He was dragged out by the soldiers. The room finally fell silent. Old Master Gu turned to me, his gaze complicated. So you're Su Li? I bowed respectfully. Su Li greets Old Master Gu. He studied me for a long time. Minger called and said you'd changed, that you were treating him well. I didn't believe it. But now, I can see there might be some truth to it. My eyes grew moist. Old Master, I've done many wrong things, but I swear I see from this day forward I will protect Gu Ling with my life. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Fine. I'll trust you once, but if you hurt Minger again, I'll be the first to come after you. I nodded firmly. I won't let you down. Gu Ling watched from the bed, a gentle smile on his lips. He reached out and took my hand. Grandpa, she really has changed. Old Master Gu looked at our joined hands, and finally a glimmer of approval showed in his eyes. In the days that followed, Gu Ling recovered in the hospital. I stayed by his side every day, personally making his soup and preparing his medicine. The Shen family was destroyed. Old Master Gu made sure of it. They crumbled overnight. Shen Wanshan went to prison. Shen Bijun disappeared. Everyone who had ever wronged me got what they deserved. 2 weeks later, Gu Ling was fully recovered and discharged. The day he left the hospital, the sun was shining. I walked out with my arm linked through his. He stopped suddenly and turned to me. Su Li. I looked up. He pulled a small box from his pocket and opened it in front of me. Inside was a brilliant diamond ring. Let's start over, what do you say? My eyes welled up. Yes. He slid the ring onto my finger, then kissed my forehead. This time, I'm never letting go. I leaned into him and whispered, Me neither. Not far away, Han Li and Wei watched with smiles. Can't believe she actually changed. Wei nodded. Yeah. Mr. Gu finally got what he deserved. Mu Rongshu and her apprentice stood further back. The old woman's weathered face held a warm smile. Good deeds are rewarded. Evil is punished. The world is fair after all. The apprentice nodded. Master, should we head back now? Mu Rongshu shook her head. Not yet. The apprentice looked confused. Why? Mu Rongshu smiled. We're waiting for someone. Sure enough, before long, Dugu Tingcheng arrived with Dugu Yue. The girl had fully recovered. Her cheeks were rosy. She ran up and hugged me. Suli Jeji, thank you for saving me. I smiled and ruffled her hair. You're welcome. Dugu Qingcheng walked up to Mu Rongshu and bowed deeply. Divine Dr. Mu Rong, thank you for your help. Mu Rongshu waved her off. Thank Miss Suli. Without her, I wouldn't be here either. Dugu Qingcheng turned to me, her eyes full of gratitude. Miss Suli, from today on, you are my sister. Whatever you need, I'm there. No questions asked. I smiled. Then I won't hold back. Everyone laughed together. The sunlight was warm and bright. Guling took my hand. Let's go home. I nodded. Yeah, let's go home. We walked toward the car, with all the people who truly cared about us watching from behind. The road ahead might still have storms, but with him by my side, I'm not afraid of anything. Because this time, I'm not letting go, and neither is he.